Of it already. Good morning, everyone. It's Dana at the Arts Partnership. We are trying StreamYard, which is a new link, kind of new to me, streaming platform like Zoom, except what I love about it is that if you ask questions, we'll be able to see them. We'll be able to put them up on the screen and be able to answer them in real time. It also means that we can stream across multiple platforms. So that's great. Joining me is our communications consultant, Lana Whiting. Hi, Lana.
Hello, Dana.
How are you?
I'm good. I have coffee. I feel bad you don't have tea.
I know. I had to run and pick up my car. I had a 7 a.m. oil change this morning. So, it was done and it had to go. So something had to give. And sadly, it was the tea. But as I was telling you when we went on, I've had 3 or maybe 4 big mugs already. So I think I can make it through this conversation just fine. Lana, we're on today talking about communications. And I just want to give everybody a quick reason why. In January, Tanya from the Arts Partnership and I and various board members from our organization meet with all of the organizations across the metro who get City Arts Partnership grants from us. And we meet with the leaders of those organizations and their board members. And it's just a chance to check in, to have a conversation, to find out what's working, what we might be able to help them with in the second half of the fiscal year. And what we heard over and over again was communications challenges. How do we get more people paying attention to our work? How do we better get the word out about what we're talking about? And of course, that's one of the big tasks and one of our big missions at the Arts Partnership is to amplify the work of the arts being done across Fargo-Moorhead and West Fargo. And I've had a number of communications people over the year, but Lana, you've been with us now for, 8 or 9 months, a long time. Mm-hmm. And it has been spectacular because Lana brings this whole great background and expertise as a professional communicator. And that is not to dismiss my previous communications people. Every one of them has brought great things to the job. But Lana's really brought some fabulous strategy and some new tips and tricks because you're out in the field doing this work with other businesses too. You're consulting with us. You are not a full-time employee of the Arts Partnership.
Correct.
So that means Lana is, bringing what she's learning in the for-profit sector, in the entrepreneurial tech startup sector, all those things to us, which I think's made a huge difference to the way that we're talking. So we decided to have Lana on today because we thought we could answer questions for a lot of arts people or anybody who happens to be on the live stream around how to do this. So Lana, maybe just by way of introduction, because we didn't really introduce you to the partnership when you began, give us the 2-minute bio of who you are and what you do and why communications is your thing.
Yeah, so I started my career in journalism back in 2007. I worked at the Forum and have spent the last, how many years is that? 15 years in the field of communications. I've worked in corporate communications, internal communications, and then decided to go out on my own in 2019 and found lots of clients in startups, nonprofits, lots of tech startups actually in the beginning, and was lucky enough that the Arts Partnership was looking for somebody to come in and have more of a strategic eye for how we can promote artists, arts organizations, and what the Arts Partnership does in the community. So that we have a broader reach in the areas that will benefit the arts sector the most.
Yeah. And so what has been really lovely for me is that you bring this body of work and this 15 years of experience. And so I feel like you are a true partner in this communications venture that we embarked upon now, 10 or 11 years ago. in a very different way, and you've brought a different dynamic, and you ask different questions when we're in conversation. So I think that it's been a huge asset for us, but I also know that it's been a huge asset for the partnership, who we are tasked with communicating about. So that's around 150 arts nonprofits, artists, and arts related businesses. So Lana, talk a little bit about the ways that you and we are utilizing our communications tools to lift up, amplify, bolster the sector.
Well, I think it really starts with being more intentional in how we are communicating and when we are communicating. I think traditionally the Arts Partnership has done an excellent job of providing events updates and preview articles in the forum. And what I think is really strong about how we're evolving as an organization is that we're starting to look more at the why behind what artists are doing, why they're doing the work they do, why arts organizations, all more than 100 of them, why they do the work that they do and continue to do so in environments that can be very challenging. So we've kind of decreased in volume of communications. We aren't doing as many tactical, what we call tactical communications in my field, which means that a lot of maybe longtime arts partnership folks have seen fewer newsletters, fewer blogs, fewer social media posts, and that kind of thing, because we're really putting our energy into diving a little bit deeper and telling a more intentional story about ourselves as the Arts Partnership, as an umbrella organization that supports so many people and organizations in the community.
Great. So I think there's a thought that where social media is concerned, more is better. And you've really helped me understand that sometimes more is just more. So can you just talk about your, we'll call it a philosophical approach to that? Because I think it is important for people to understand that we have pulled back, but we've pulled back intentionally, not because we're overwhelmed or because there's, nothing to talk about, or we're not here every day doing this work. So why is that your approach, or the sort of best practice of your field?
Well, there are two schools of thought on that, and I wish I could take credit for it, but there is a phenomenal SEO expert in town. His name is Michael Quinn. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago from him is that there's two ideas behind social media or content in general when you are marketing a product or a service or an organization. And that is, you can put all of your eggs in one basket and just throw it all out there. So that means that you are doing all the newsletters, writing all the blogs, posting on social media constantly in different networks. So you're not only managing a Facebook account, but you're doing Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, whatever else, there's so many of them now. Or you can just put a few eggs in the basket and manage those really well, which means that, yes, you might have fewer eggs in the basket, but it gives you control and time to be more intentional about how you are communicating. So with that, we pulled back on a lot of the social media, for example, because it allows us to take the time and extend our reach in a way that makes people kind of wait for us to communicate instead of just expecting it.
Yeah.
So we kind of build a little bit of anticipation around how we're going to communicate an event, or explore, like you posted something yesterday on Facebook, explore how Steinway contributed.
Wasn't that incredible?
Yeah, it was amazing.
500 pianos during World War II so that Allied soldiers, just because I thought this was so glorious, so that Allied soldiers would have access to music, because what we know is that everybody needs access to the arts. So yes, I didn't mean to hijack your story. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, because it's a great example of just kind of inserting some nuggets in there too.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to do it 5 times a day.
Right.
You know, once a week is great. And what we've seen is that we're able to put more energy into the strategic side of things to help with fundraising. We've got more time to focus on that, instead of kind of micromanaging the metrics on a Facebook page, which is still very extremely important, and we love that community. But it gives us time to just to look at the bigger picture of what the Arts Partnership does for the community.
So let's cross over a bit into some questions that I often hear people ask, that I think you can help anybody who comes across this do be more intentional or do better. So you've already said it really isn't about just throw it all at the wall and see what sticks. On the other hand, it's really hard. I know this from my own work. I know this from having built and grown the social media at the Arts Partnership. It's really hard to be heard, seen, found in this cacophony of voices. I mean, I can't remember what statistics I've read, but hundreds of thousands of YouTube videos going up every minute and billions of posts going onto social media. If you are someone who is a small nonprofit, you're an individual artist, you're a volunteer board run organization, how in the world do you try to make some sort of mark in this huge world of social media?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tricky. I think YouTube is a great example of that. We don't often think about it this way, but it is, next to Google, the second largest search engine out
Yeah.
there, and we're vying for the attention of a society that's increasingly attention, poor.
Right.
It's harder than ever to get in front of audiences, and I think that's probably at the core of understanding how to use social media to your benefit, is to understand very well who your audience is, because the more that you're able to tie that in and to just narrow it down to the people who are going to be the most loyal to you and have the best conversations and be active in your social communities, the better that you're going to be. Because ultimately, we often say in the marketing world, your customers are your advertisers now. It's not, we have very little control over what consumers are saying on social media. For example, I posted something on Instagram yesterday about this probiotic soda that I was drinking.
Oh yeah.
And that's ultimately doing advertising for that company.
Yep.
And so we're having a conversation about it. Dana, I think you were like, I was wondering what you were drinking on our phone
thought
call.
the entire meeting we were on, what is that? And just didn't bother to interrupt the conversation. Yes.
Yeah. And then I responded, oh, this is a delicious probiotic drink with 5 calories and low sugar. And so those kinds of conversations are happening without that company even knowing that we're having them.
Right.
And I think that that's also an important thing to remember, is that that's not something you can measure anymore. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that is out of our control. But what is in our control is really understanding those audiences. And it's almost like putting them in a niche. You're niching yourself into maybe a smaller set of consumers or people that you want to follow you, but it's going to be more valuable connections that you have. So it's probably unlikely that you're going to get 5 million people following you if you're a small organization. We'll just use the Arts Partnership as an example. It's probably not going to happen, but we might get a few thousand people to really enjoy and appreciate what we do.
Mhm.
And that's really important to keep in mind, that you're realistic about those expectations, especially in a saturated world that we live in now.
Yeah. Okay, I have another question for you. I know from, again, my own work that owning your email audience is the most important audience you can attract. So often it's satisfying, that short-term satisfaction to put up a Facebook post and see the likes and the hearts and the, all the things happening, and to feel like, oh wow, people are really paying attention to me. But as someone who occasionally will get, Facebook will send you those deals where they're like, let's do a year in review. You loved X number of posts. I clearly am on a obsessive love path with social media. I just love everything I see. So I'm a great example of, I might be scrolling through and clicking love, 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 but I'm not really engaging with a lot of what I'm seeing. It's just, I like the person, so I'm supporting them. But an email group that you collect, even a small number of people, A, you can tell who's opened stuff. B, you own that. If Facebook went away tomorrow, all of the content that's on Facebook would go away. But my email list belongs to me. So can you talk about, again, most of our arts groups and artists have limited time, limited capacity, limited staff. How should they go about trying to build an engaged email audience? And do you agree with that's your most dedicated audience because they've shared their email with you?
Yeah, I think that email can be some of the best way to keep people engaged in what you're doing. It's in our field, or in marketing, it's called inbound marketing strategy. So you're bringing people into you. We all get a bunch of emails. You are shopping for shoes and save 15%, give us your email. And it's like, okay, well, I know I'm going to get 15 emails from this company now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of things that can happen. Either you unsubscribe, or the psychology behind it is that the more regular that company, that shoe company, entices you with more deals, or puts a pair of shoes that they know you're going to love in front of you, the more you're going to start looking at it more and more. You might give it 2 seconds of your time before you delete the email. Then you might give it 5 seconds. And then one day when you're supposed to be working, you're like, oh, those shoes are super cute. I get 20% off today. That's great. So it's really about nurturing those. And I know that was kind of a weird example for the arts, but
I think it's a true example, though, because what I read all the time is, if somebody's willing to share their email with you, that's a big step, which is why all of those shopping sites give you a discount if you sign up, because they know that they've got to give to get, because handing over your email address has become a pretty serious thing, because we all know what our inboxes look like.
mm-hmm.
So, okay, how would you, as our communications person, like to be communicated to? What sorts of things do you like to hear from artists, arts organizations? What sorts of ways can they communicate with you that will effectively take their content and make you say, yeah, I'll put that on the calendar. I'll put that in the monthly newsletter. That's a forum article. You have a lot of ways to amplify that. So how's the best way for people to engage with you?
The best way that I've found so far working with the Arts Partnership specifically is sending press releases and being really thorough in the information that somebody provides us. if I get an email that says, hey, I have an exhibit coming up at, I don't know, the Spirit Room. Well, tell me why it's important. And of course, who, what, when, where, and what, why, but really it comes down to why should our audience care? And I know that sounds kind of crass, but why would the arts partnership people, artists, and the community as a whole really care about this? The best ways that I have communicated with artists is the same. Tell me why this work is important. Tell me why it's important to you,
Yep.
and also why it's important to the community. Just to keep it simple, I mean, email is great to send to the communications email, which is communications@theartspartnership.net. And I think that Dana had that up there.
There it is.
Yes. So it's very easy to send requests to put an event in the calendar. It's very easy to get a hold of me that way. And the more information that you can provide on the front end, the faster and the easier it'll be to get those in our networks.
Yeah, so I just want to have a little, we'll call it tough love conversation with the partnership. I have a number of things to say to you. And if you are doing some or all of these things well, then do not think that I don't acknowledge that. But I'm not going to individually call out people who are doing it well. This is a broad statement, okay? When Lana writes an article in the forum about you, I would love it if when you share it, you would say, shout out to Lana at the Arts Partnership for this great article, because we are independent to the forum. We are in a relationship with them, but the content that we create for them is our content that gets published there. So the forum also does arts coverage independent of us. When John Lamb or anybody else does that coverage, absolutely shout out to the forum for covering your upcoming events. But when we do it, it's really useful to us if you can to let your audience know that this is arts partnership content that's showing up in the forum as part of that content relationship. That's the first thing. The second thing, and I'm sorry to say this with her on the call because it's probably going to embarrass her a little bit, but I just want you to know how few people ever write and say thank you. Thanks for the article. Do you know what kind of coverage forum content gives? There's nothing in the region that comes close to what happens when your event, your show, your feature shows up in the forum. We fund a person to do this work because we believe in it, because we want more arts coverage in the community. I would love to see people remember to shoot off an email that says, hey, Lana, thanks so much for a great article. Some of you do it. Many of you, a shocking number of you do not. So if you've done it, good for you. Here's me applauding you and saying thank you sincerely. If you haven't, it's not too late. Thirdly, be a good, responsible responder. If Lana reaches out to you, if I reach out to you, if Tanya, if anybody from the Arts Partnership reaches out to you for follow-up, don't make us chase you. We only technically have Lana for 10 hours a week. That means if I have to pay her to chase you for an hour of that time because you just aren't responding, that's not a great use of her time or our resources. So please, if you hear from somebody at the Arts Partnership, move it to the top of the to-do list and just respond back quickly. And just to further enforce what Lana has said, when you reach out, send as much information as you can. I can promise you, I have never, nor has any of my communications staff ever written to an artist and said, you sent me way too much information. Please stop. We've never done that. More information just makes the process go that much more quickly, which is not just good for us, it's good for you. So don't think, we had something in the calendar last month, we won't send this. Send everything you want to send and we'll choose and select the most we can and put it in as many places as we can. Be a great communicator, and then also be a grateful receiver of this content. Because not only does it go all these places, but then you have access to it too. Amplification goes both ways. So we love lifting up what you are doing. It's one of our primary tasks, but we love it when you lift up that we've done it for you as well. So it's a nice reciprocal relationship when it works best. Lana, last things you want to say? Anything else?
Well, I would like to add on, I think the biggest way to thank us, I guess, that sounds so selfish. Come on, thank us.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. Share the content on your own networks. Because, even if you get an article in the forum, it's promotion for you. And
free promotion, which is incredible. Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. And so not only are there tens of thousands of people who read the forum, support local journalism, by the way, but you, by sharing it on your own networks, are, as Dana said, amplifying that content. So it's a piece of free advertising for you that can go a long, long way.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you think nobody's reading the forum, we know that is not true. It's absolutely not true. Thousands of people read the forum. You can't possibly, there's not an arts organization in the metro that can afford to pay for the advertising that a forum story gives you for free. So again, it's just that reciprocal building. If you have communications questions, if you're wondering about best practices, those kinds of things, Lana and I will try to come back on and do some more of these conversations in an effort to reach a lot of people and answer questions in a succinct way. Again, I can't send Lana to every partner for a one-on-one conversation. So if you have questions, send them our way. We'll collect them and we will start to bring these conversations to light. Maybe we'll do one a month or something. Amy Nash, thanks so much for watching, and the nice comment, wanted to share it with you as well, Lana. There's so much around communications. It can be overwhelming. It can feel like nobody's paying attention. It can seem pointless. None of those things are true. Your first job is to take a deep breath, think about who your core audience is, and try to start reaching them. And then, as Lana said, let them help you grow your audience, because they have people in their lives who might also love this stuff. Encourage them to share your content. I want to leave with an example. The best case I've seen recently, the Fargo Film Festival is coming up. Last night I was on Facebook, and every board member that I'm friends with, which is a number of them, had changed their banner picture to the Film Fest logo. I saw that on my feed, I think 5 times in about 3 minutes. Do you know how powerful that is? It cements it in my brain. I'm talking about it today. All that took was for those board members to make that simple shift. If you think it doesn't matter, it matters. It absolutely matters. So keep reaching out with questions. Here's Lana's email. Again, communications@theartspartnership.net. Continue to engage with us. We'll continue to engage with you. We need you to do our best work, and we can help you do your best work through this great communications relationship. Lana, thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well. Stay warm, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.